welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and industry professionals in the indie publishing industry. As always, my co-host is with me, David. Say hi, David.
Hi, everybody.
And today we've got two amazing authors to introduce you to, Miss Alexia Purdy.
Hello.
And Miss Jennifer Malone Wright. Both of them have extremely large backlists of books, so I'm going to give them a second to introduce their books and let you know a little bit about themselves. Alexia, go ahead and take the first shot.
Hi, I'm Alexia Purdy, and I have been published now for 5 years. I have about 14 or 15 novels. We're trying to count, and I actually never sit down and count them. I'm most known for my dark fairy tale series. I also have the Reign of Blood series, which includes an award on that series. And I also have another series called The Arknight Chronicles. It's a little more paranormal romance. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and it's been a lot of fun. And I recently got my USA Today bestselling author tag, so that's kind of exciting.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Jenna, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your books too?
Most people who've read my books, it's the Vampire Hunter's Daughter series. They're novellas, so it's a serial novel. People wanted more of that, so then I continued the story with the Arcadia Falls Chronicles. And there's 8 of those published so far. And then I have the Graveyard Guardians series, which is more adult. I have a book called Savior, which was the first one, actually, that I ever published in 2010, April of 2010. Then it's been retitled and recovered a lot of times. It's just finally actually starting to sell, that one. Then I have a co-authored book called Fairy Tales and a co-authored series called Once Upon a Zombie Apocalypse.
Oh, I like that title.
Me too.
What got you started? You said you started publishing about, 2010?
Yeah, well, I've been writing forever. Before self-publishing, it was really hard to publish, but it was always my goal to try. And so then it was after Amanda Hawking actually made her big self-publishing, being a Kindle millionaire. And I was like, you know what, I can do that. And so then I just self-published, and I taught myself everything there was to know. And it was short after that, actually, that I met Alexia on Twitter right about that time.
Between the two of you guys, you both have a very huge backlist of books. Probably, 30 or so between the two of you guys? And you've been friends pretty much this whole time as well, right?
Yeah, I think she might have 30 all on her own.
Well, I know all of the side stories and stuff. Alexia, you are always busy.
Yeah, I keep busy. I do a lot of side short stories, bunch of novellas, mostly in anthologies. I just get involved in any kind of project that I can jump into and see what happens to get my name out there. I'm just always working on something on the side besides a novel at the same time. Seems like it takes me forever to get things done nowadays because I have 2 or 3 projects going on at once. But it's done a lot to get a little exposure, get new readers, just get a new audience. So it looks like a lot of novels, but a lot of them are just anthologies, short stories attached to my series too. So different things.
With all the books that you two have produced in that time, there's a lot of work in marketing as well. Last episode, we talked a little bit about getting reviews as part of marketing and using newsletters to reach readers. But beyond that, what are you guys doing to reach new readers while you're writing all of these stories?
I'm like a Facebook whore. I'm always on Facebook.
Quote of the day.
I love Instagram. I don't really do a lot of live interviews, so this is a rare appearance.
Facebook is the one that seems like the most popular. Now, when we talked with H.D. Gordon last week, she really told us a lot about Goodreads being her kind of go-to place. But the majority of authors that I know, we kind of hang out on Facebook. I wonder, does it have a better reach? What do you feel like you can do on Facebook versus another platform that makes it more comfortable for you there?
Facebook's more live, more interactive. Goodreads, you could post a message and it could sit there forever and never get a reply. Sometimes you'll be in a live conversation on Goodreads. I did use a lot of Goodreads in the beginning. It has kind of changed a little bit. It used to be really great for finding groups for reviews. You can still find them if you look, but I kind of ignored Goodreads for a while. But I do post my new releases. I do have my feed for my blog /website feeding directly into Goodreads. So it kind of stays up to date without me really doing anything. You want to automate a lot of stuff that you do as an author so you don't have to be popping in to everything all the time. Like I even have my Facebook page post to my Twitter feed automatically.
I've got the same thing on my author page as well.
Instagram too.
Yeah, Instagram as well. It's kind of all interconnected. Now, you and Jennifer both head up the Paranormal Addicts Facebook group. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff does it mostly, I would say, but we both collectively have grown the group.
How did you guys get started with that group?
I actually started it myself. I do a whole bunch of spontaneous projects all the time, and I'm like, you know what? There's not enough paranormal groups on Facebook. I'm starting one right now. That's me. I'll just slap up a banner because I do graphic design all the time, and slap up a banner, and I actually did like the big no-no, invite all my friends list, and in groups it basically adds them to the group, and I probably pissed some people off, but I did mention later you can leave if you want to. And then as it started growing, I talked to Jennifer a lot anyway online, and she approached me about starting a newsletter and getting Paranormal Addicts going a little bit more. So she's done a lot with it.
I've noticed with that one, you guys use your newsletter quite heavily in Paranormal Addicts. Last week we had E.R. Arroyo on, and she's one of the founding members of the Band of Dystopian group. So kind of just comparing and contrasting the different styles of groups. They don't really do the newsletter thing, but you guys do. The newsletter for the Paranormal Addicts group is beautiful. When it comes through, it has different deals. It introduces you to some new authors that you may not have seen before, and it's all very genre specific. You guys are really into that paranormal side of things. I like that. What led you to go that route with your group to gain more readership or to gain more eyes on your page?
With newsletters, it's been growing for a while. You got to do newsletters to reach readers. And I was really PO'd at BookBub for like a really long time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own BookBub. And that's, right.
Awesome.
And that's when I saw Alexia's group was just growing and growing and growing like really fast. And so when I approached her, I was like, how do you feel about doing a newsletter? And we talked about it, and we decided one week was good to do that. And I don't think we could do like an everyday thing like BookBub did anyway, but it's grown pretty quickly, the group and the newsletter. We like paranormal, and it's a good place to meet other authors, and people love to get those. It's a great place for that. But rather than Band of Dystopian, they're really strict in their group about posting, how often you can post and stuff like that. And that's why with ours, it's anytime, it's open posting. So it does have to be monitored quite a bit.
Do you have a lot of issue with the drive-by posters? I know that's one of the big problems a lot of groups run into, are people who just pop in, here's my book, pop out, and never actually engage.
I call it a stop and drop.
Stop it. I like that.
Yeah, I've actually talked to Alexia about that. Neither of us have the time right now to monitor the group the way that we would have to be able to put in the guidelines to be able to do that. I try to go in and do discussions like question of the day, but the last couple of months, especially with summer, I've been really busy. So I try to do discussions, and people really like that. They're really interactive when we do post discussions, questions, and things like that. It is a problem.
I can believe it. Now, you mentioned it's summer and the kids are out of school and we're busy, and all of us are super busy. But that does bring me back on point with how do we maintain our backlists and keep up with reader demand and still find time to reach all of these readers and to constantly get out there and put ourselves in front of their faces. Where do you find the balance in marketing, and what are the best marketing tools that you guys have found so far that have worked?
It's really a lot of touch and go. I have tried everything that you can think of, almost. I would say I do pay attention to a lot of author groups, to what everybody else is doing too, to find out anything I can try. I try Facebook ads. They work really well on like perma-free first and series books, but nothing else. Newsletter, I've grown my newsletter huge since probably 2 years ago. It went from like 280 to almost 7,000 in a small period of time. I mean, some people have more, but I would say getting quality subscribers is really hard. You have to really work it and post your newsletter organically on your page in your own reader group, and hopefully capture the ones that read the books. I do get them through my books, through front matter, back matter, You put those newsletter links in there, offer a free book, try to capture them in there, and hopefully you get a good one that stays with you forever. And I do have a few that have been with me for years, which is awesome. They keep me alive, I think. Paranormal Addicts group works really good if you post, like, if you want reviews, if you have a ARC to hand out for reviews, it seems to work really well. And also, of course, for freebies or for sales, they do seem to pay attention there for some reason. They do like talk about paranormal books. I think you really have to be really involved in your genre and be genuine, like you're actually interested in what you're writing instead of just like, here, buy my book. It's about paranormal, whatever. Just buy it. You know, you have to be like, hey, you guys like angels? Let me know what books you guys like or whatever. I have a book to give out to a random winner or whatever. You know, just comment. I want to see what you guys are talking about. And I actually comment back, and I do have conversations with them.
Interacting with people, posting, everything, that eats up a lot of time. And Katie once mentioned, I think it was on the first episode, that you're spending about half the time marketing yourself. We don't have that power of representation that a traditional author would have, where you are on a billboard or you are on bus stops or posters in bookstores. So you really do, you have to put yourself out there quite a bit. It's exciting and it's sort of frustrating too. I feel as though what you were saying, Alexia, is the Facebook ads worked for one series. And you do have to be adaptable. You have to try different things and just see what's working. And it sounds like the newsletter for you guys has been excellent. But of course, that's not going to be the answer for everyone.
Yeah, no, it won't be the answer for everyone. Definitely. I've had my own newsletter goes out, new release, and I'd have like maybe a few clicks. And then other times I'll have a newsletter go out and I get the right combo of people opening it and I get a nice boost in my sales. So it's really a combination of many things of how to market your book the right way.
Well, David had mentioned, not being on like billboards or buses. I guess the equivalent of that for us authors would be Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising, Instagram. Amazon has its own, purchase your own advertising space. All the online retailers do have them, but advertising is always a gamble. You don't know that the money you're spending towards advertising is going to hit its target mark. And unfortunately, advertising isn't cheap.
No, it's not. My personal experience was I had an ad on Amazon. I had it running for several months, all this year up until I think the end of July. And what I saw was there were over 70,000 impressions and one sale. Yeah. So
ouch.
It kind of hurts. I'm looking at it as a business. I'm not taking it as a personal ego thing. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to discover a more effective method to reach people on a personal level. And so it sounds like, just listening to you guys talking about the groups, the newsletters and stuff like that, it sounds like engaging them directly is a lot more effective. And I think it would make a reader feel more special.
As for a group, I have also my own personal fan group it's about like 1,000 now, and I find that it gets more interaction than my page. So I interact with them there. They're not like a street team. They're not like, because I tried that and it just wasn't something that worked for me personally, because I didn't like asking people to like do stuff. I mean, they do it anyway if they're, they'll share and stuff for you.
Of course. I'm sure you have friends who are willing to be like, oh, yeah, you're making a post? Yeah, I'll totally share that.
Yeah. So I find that having my own personal fan group really helps. The question, is what do we do, to maintain backlists and stuff. I get on and I give things away in my fan group. I do the newsletters for Paranormal Addicts. I think for me personally, because a lot of people know who I am because I'm out like everywhere in the book community, as well as like Alexia, she gets out there and does stuff too. We're involved in multiple projects. Get into projects with other people. Insta Freebie has helped. You guys mentioned that in the last episode. Insta Freebie has helped us out a lot too with growing the newsletters, not for Paranormal Addicts, but our personal ones. Engaging is a huge thing. That is what got us where we are. Before, they didn't have Facebook ads. They didn't have When we started 5-6 years ago, they didn't have that stuff. But you got to advertise. But we didn't have some of the means that we have now.
Book trailers used to be like a big thing, and they've kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. But back in 2010, when we all started, that was like the hottest thing, was making a trailer for your book and using that as your advertising platform. Do any of you guys still do that?
I don't anymore. No, I have like 4 trailers total, and I think I made 3 of them myself, and I have 1 professionally made. And they're kind of a fun tool to like use if you get bored. Oh, hey, look at the awesome book trailer for my series, or this is a little teaser for my next book coming up. But it's just a tool, really. It's like I've tried Facebook ads with the book trailers. It doesn't really do anything. Some people have had great success. I haven't, but I basically stopped making the book trailers because there is really no sales coming from them.
They don't sell books.
It's more like a fun tool. Yeah, it's just a fun thing, like a teaser to post.
I still look back at some of the ones that were made. Wilson made mine for me, and they're cute to watch, but I don't think I ever really got any sales out of them. It's sad, though, because they were really fun.
I like having fan trailers. You do like a little contest and have your fans make trailers about your books, and they do some pretty good ones.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I try to have mine do that, but they just don't do that. They won't even make a teaser. But that's fine. My fans, I've seen other groups, they're just rabid. Like my friend J.A. Huss, if you ever get her on here, she's awesome. Hi, J.A. Anyway, she's such a tiny street team, but her Strike Bike group is like humongous. And I just can never get over how awesome they are in there. They're just so vocal. They post all their half-naked men teasers like crazy. Any little line that they find in there, they'll highlight.
What group is this? I need to go visit it.
It's J.A. Huss. Her group's called Strike Bikes.
Okay. I'll have to look it up.
Hrike. Strike Bikes. Yeah. She's into dark romance, erotic romance, dark romance kind of writer. So it's a different crowd than YA paranormal over here.
We've thrown a couple of terms out, and I want to make sure that viewers that are watching this, because everybody will have different levels of knowledge. What would you say is the difference between a fan group and a street team?
A street team does a lot more of basically running your errands or so, posting links for you, sharing for you, doing basically like what it sounds like. They're on the streets working it, basically on Facebook. A lot of them run by a point system, how many people post this or that, and the more points you have, the more prizes you might get. A fan group doesn't do that. They just talk about your books, basically. Hopefully you can automate it enough and just have them talk about the books that you barely have to even show up in there. My group, I call it more of a reader group. I do prompt them in there because they don't talk to each other very much. And they do start kind of gabbing after I do prompt them with a question. Like I just asked them, who of the Dark Fairy Tale series would you want to see in their own book in the future? And they all, started commenting. That's more of a reader group, and I'll discuss like a book or one of the books that I'm in, or I'll even tell them what I'm reading and what are you guys reading right now. We're all about books. We're reading. But yeah, there's differences.
Like street teams, it never worked for me. Just like I said, I just didn't like asking people to do stuff. The fan groups seem to work much better in particular for me because I'm giving stuff away anyway. All the times in the street teams, they'll do the ARCs. I mean, we do that anyway. So I didn't like the restrictions. There's a lot more restrictions in the street teams, and they take a lot more maintenance than a fan group. I didn't like it. Some people really know how to effectively run a street team, but they have people who do it for them. A lot of people do. They have assistants, somebody just to do that particular task.
It becomes overwhelming after a while trying to, keep up with writing, keep up with your publishing schedule, and still make appearances on Facebook, make sure that you're doing all of your advertising, make sure you are engaging on the various social platforms, make sure that you're still requesting reviews. I mean, it's just a mountain of things to do. So at what point do you look at getting a personal assistant? What do you look for in a personal assistant too? It's hard enough to assign duties out to other people as it is. What do you have them do, and how does that work?
I had a personal assistant for like a year, I think. I don't have one anymore. I didn't have one before that. you do have to put in a cost about it. It was awesome. She did graphics for me. She posted my Facebook page. She would get people signed up for ARCs. I'm not a fan of running Facebook events or parties, so we never really did that. She would run contests without really needing my input for it, and I would send her her monthly pay and also on top of it the prize money to pay for the prizes, shipping, all that. And it was actually kind of nice. It did give me a little bit of vacation to kind of concentrate on writing, but I couldn't afford it anymore. There's ups and downs like in the industry, and if you can afford it, hey, you know what, do it. Like, if you can afford someone to clean your house, why not? So you can buy your time back.
Right. Yeah, because it is time consuming.
It depends on what the author needs. I am a personal assistant for several authors. So in addition to my own stuff, I do personal assistant work for other authors. And I have some who just want marketing and, you know, for me to like share their things around. And I have some who want very specific. They make me a calendar and say, this is what you're going to do today. It really just depends. And the majority of it, the common factor is that all of them want more time to write. That's just the basis of it. If you can afford it, you can afford it. And for some people, it works. Like for some people, they want to see their sales go up. And, you know, they're like, well, this didn't help me with what I needed. And some people think an assistant might help their sales go up because either one, you know, their stuff's being shared more, they have a more time to write and produce more things. And, you know, with some people, it just depends on the books, what they're writing. There's so many factors, but with personal assistants. But I've been scaling down because I want to get back to writing mainly full time.
Just like with advertising costs, hiring a personal assistant is not a guarantee of an increase in your sales. Everything's a gamble, you know, with your books. Whatever you throw out there, you hope it works and you hope it does earn you more sales so that you can produce more work, but there's no guarantee in it. And that can lead to a lot of people getting frustrated. I know, Alexia, you and I have talked many, many times about, you know, getting to that burnout feeling where you're doing so much and you're putting so much out there and the return on investment isn't where it should be.
Yeah, it does get to the point where you're pumping out the words, you're pumping out the books, and you've been pumping out the marketing, however, which way you do it. You kind of sit on a plateau for a long time and you just don't see any kind of changes because of what you've been doing. Your efforts pretty much go to waste. But you do have to also see that if you're sitting on a plateau, at least you're not dipping down. That could be the improvement that you're just not seeing. But you do get tired. You know, I've had these discussions with you, Katie, about, you know, depression. Creative types are really susceptible to falling into these lows that can be just overwhelming, defeating. I even showed you that one author who is basically throwing in the towel. I'm like, oh, another one bites the dust today. It's kind of sad. I have seen them use it as a marketing ploy too, but there have been quite a few authors who I've seen that started around the time I did and time Jennifer did that have just thrown in the towel. I can't do this no more. Not making enough to pay for covers, editing, marketing, formatting, all this stuff you do have to pay for and put in for it. And I'm just done. I'm tired. All my efforts are doing nothing. I've lost everything. I'm quitting. So it's not hard to get to that point.
Well, once you do, how do you step back from the edge? Because you and I have both been there a few times. I know we've both been like cheerleaders for each other in the down moments where we're like, it'll be okay, just take a break, you know, think about it tomorrow, it'll be better. But honestly, how do you step back from the edge when, you know, you feel like you've been beating your head against the wall and nothing's changing? Like you said, creative types are always prone to depression. Our highs and lows are almost always tied to the reception of our work, whether that be good reviews, good sales. It does tie into, you know, your day-to-day feelings.
And sometimes there's big waves of doubt as well. You do base a lot of your self-worth on a lot of imaginary scenarios like, well, is it even worth pursuing? Is it even worth continuing? Or is it just going to be ignored like the rest of this stuff?
Yeah, you have to be kind to yourself a lot. And I find it really helpful to have a circle of author friends who can relate. I mean, you try not to bring them down either because, you know, misery loves company. You'll both be sitting there going, oh, this sucks, we suck.
Oh.
You kind of have to step away from that and try to redirect yourself too, redirect the person. Me and Katie are buddies. We redirect each other and be like, okay, what's going on now? I'll tell her what happened. She'll tell me what happened. I'll do this with Jen too. We'll just talk it out. You just got to talk it out sometimes. You just want someone to have some empathy and skip past it and do different strategies and see if either one of us come up with a new way to market, or maybe the other person has something to offer, like, hey, I just signed up for this one anthology. Maybe you should try it now. I heard they hit the USA Today in the last one. Maybe you can in the next one, you know? You just got to open up your mind when you get stuck in that low.
And I think sometimes you get too close to your work. This is also relevant to just typical depression, is sometimes you just get so stuck in it that you really, like Katie said, you need to be able to take a step back. You need to be able to get away from the edge and evaluate what is actually going on. Like I said, a lot of it is in your mind. A lot of it is actually in your mind. You're again, basing all these feelings and stuff, you're giving value to these feelings that are all imaginary most of the time, unless you're really dealing with something in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to imagine completely giving up on being a creator, because I just feel compelled to want to tell stories.
And I think at the bottom of it is that we all are that way. We wouldn't be writers if we didn't have that drive to create things. And so it's finding a way to get back to that feeling, to pull yourself away from the edge that we have to do. And Alexia hit on it, hit the nail right on the head with redirecting. I know a lot of times when I've chatted with her, she's the shoulder to cry on, and then she turns around and says, get on it now. This is what you need to do. Try this, do that. Here's what I'm doing. And she'll redirect me away from being, down in the dumps into a new method of marketing or a new anthology to sign up for so that I can maybe reach a different target audience.
Or at least make you realize that it's not as bad as what you think in the moment.
Right.
Yeah, it's a rough situation to be in, and I know we've all hit it at some point.
We invest so much time. It's not just about money, it's about time, and it's about you feel like you made this great thing, and you want to share it with people, and so when you're working your ass off to tell as many people as you can and you're seeing no returns, of course it's going to be devastating. Because in your mind, you see it and you're like, oh my God, this is so much fun. This is so cool. This is so funny or amazing, whatever. Why doesn't anybody care about it?
Mm.
And so that's when you start beating down on yourself. Like, I'm the worst in the world.
I think for me personally, it's always more like I don't have enough time to write as many words as I need to write. And I've actually been talking with Alexia quite a bit about productivity. That's always been my biggest thing. And I actually did quit. Well, I didn't quit completely, but I went out and got a job at Walmart, because I have a big family. And when KU hit and sales just, for me personally, and we weren't making it financially, and I was like, I just have to go get a job. And I disliked every minute of not being able to write. Like, it ate at me every single day, not being able to write. And I still interacted, stayed on my pages. And I even finished one book during that time, but I didn't have, it was like 9 months, I think I had a job at Walmart, and I did not like it at all. And it was depressing. I really had a hard time during that time.
I was going to mention that one thing that I found was kind of cool is when I'm not trying to be creative, when I'm actually away from trying to write, I get a lot of really good ideas. So when I am working and I'm out and about, I'll get an idea and I'll write it down. And I go and compile them later, and it starts really adding up. And that to me is kind of neat. It's sort of on a subconscious level. You're not trying to think of these things, but then all of a sudden you make this little spark in your head goes off and you're like, oh my God, I got to write this down before I forget it.
Absolutely. Happens to me all the time.
Yep. The best ideas come in the shower.
Yeah, or working out.
Yeah. Usually when there's no pen handy.
Right.
Yeah. Following Alexia's direction, we're going to redirect out of that depression topic and talk about a few happier subjects. Just like last week, we're going to do another giveaway. Both of our guests, as well as David and myself, will be offering up an ebook for readers who are going to participate in our contest. You do get points just for watching the show. We had mentioned earlier about all the different marketing channels and things that we do to reach readers. Most of us, I think, use CreateSpace as our print-on-demand publisher. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I just recently learned about this through visiting Kindle boards that some CreateSpace books are appearing now on Walmart.com, which is kind of amazing because that's a big retailer. Just like Amazon is huge, Walmart is well known all across the country. And not all books are showing up there, but Alexia, yours, I did see a few of them pop up when I did a check earlier today.
Yeah, there's 3 of them on there. I was actually really impressed. I was not aware that CreateSpace was expanding to Walmart.com, but hey, I'm going to take it.
Right?
Definitely.
As far as what that could mean for indies, do you think that that will help increase readership being in this channel? I don't know if it'll be on store shelves, but I mean, just being online is one thing.
Yeah, I think with anything, like honestly, even I'm wide, I'm not KU only. Like with iBooks, Google Play, I noticed that my money does increase on those channels when I specifically post those links. So maybe I can do a little Walmart posting on my sites and let everyone know, hey, it's on Walmart.com. If you guys want to buy from there, go ahead. It looks like they are discounting too, like Amazon does. So that's an incentive right there, free shipping. If I think they have a free shipping program, I believe, on Walmart too.
Yeah,
they're trying to compete with Amazon.
Now, since your books are on there, will you use that in your active promotions?
I will probably add those ones that are available on Walmart.com, add a link there so that people will see it. You never know who's going to be like, oh, I shop at Walmart. Why not?
Yeah, I would. I mean, anywhere that they can find your books easily, let them know.
I wonder if eventually, I thought I heard somewhere that Amazon's going to make brick and mortar bookstores. I wonder if they do. Where is it?
In Seattle.
It's in Washington?
In Seattle, yeah.
That's awesome. I wonder if they're going to make more, and I'm wondering who they stock.
I can't remember how I think it was the star rating, actually.
That makes sense. Probably number of reviews and star ratings.
That's kind of weird, though. I would see star ratings can be manipulated, but sales ranking would be, I think, the number of choice if they're going to decide on who to place on store shelves. Because you can have a book that has 5 ratings and be a 5-star book.
That's
or you
true.
can have a book that's got an under 100 sales ranking, which, maybe doesn't have that many reviews, but is selling like hotcakes.
There was something about how they were choosing it where some of the authors were not happy.
Do you guys actively pursue brick and mortar stores, whether they be local indie stores or like Barnes & Noble?
Oh, that's so funny. I was actually just going to ask the same question.
I live in the boonies, so I don't.
I don't because 99% of my income is from ebooks, and honestly, paperback, I make them for my readers. I don't make it with the intention of selling like a ton of them on a bookshelf somewhere. Me and Katie, we just got our books bought by a local Barnes & Noble. It was really awesome. They bought like 10 or 15 copies of each book.
I know, it was crazy.
Like my whole
Wow.
Dark Fairy Tale
Congratulations.
series. That was awesome. But then I'm like sitting there going, oh God, I hope they sell. I do not go into this thinking, oh, I'm gonna have my books on the shelf and yay, I'm gonna make it then, because it's just not a moneymaker for me right now. Maybe in the future.
I do see authors posting like pictures of their books in the wild, and it's always kind of inspirational to see that, another author made a shelf in a major store or something like that.
I like when authors are sneaky and they sign them, and then they tell their followers, oh, hey, check out this store.
We signed all our books at the Barnes & Noble in Henderson on Stephanie Street, and we're like, you want a signed book? They're all down there now. Go get them.
Exactly.
But, it is sort of a goal for any writer to see their book in a brick and mortar store. So I think with that alone, I hit it. And I'm really, really proud of myself for that, to have it there. Maybe in the future, if they get less restrictive on like print on demand, and returning books and stuff like that, maybe it's a possibility. But the way things are right now, things would have to change with the way they treat print-on-demand books for us to really consider that being an avenue of money. But there are some people sell tons of print-on-demand, though. You never know.
In what ways would you say it needs to change?
There's a lot of restrictions. The way the large booksellers work, they basically buy the books only at a discount, severe discount, and it's supposed to be returnable, like to the big 5 publishers. If the book sits there for a week, doesn't sell, or 2 weeks, whatever time period they are contracted for, they send it all back and they get refunded for those books. And the publisher either destroys them or sells them at a discount or whatever. But on print on demand, since I'm not actually there, the print on demand Create Space isn't the publisher, they can't accept those books back. Bookstores don't really order them to keep on the shelves.
But it's so weird because what length of time determines whether or not it's successful or a bust?
It's up to the individual stores. I mean, they might give you 30 days. They might give you less.
They check in. They have their own outline of how long they have to go through all the books again and see how long they've been on the shelf and what needs to be sent back.
They don't discount it. I see it bookstores all the time. There's like the 20% off at Barnes & Noble, and then there's the $10 section. Do they mark them down before they just completely get rid of them?
Well, a bookstore, you have to remember, is buying the book at probably a 55% discount to begin with. So when they discount that 20% off, they're still making money on that book. When they discount it even 50% off, they're still making 5% on that book.
I don't know if I should be impressed or angry.
If you go through Ingram, you're allowed to play with your discount rates, but if you put your discount rates at higher than what a bookstore will accept, you won't be distributed to that bookstore should they choose to purchase your books. If you go through Create Space, they already have a contracted amount. So when you hit that expanded distribution, you already see what the bookstore will get and how much you'll get royalty off that book if it gets sold.
Cool.
Fan appreciation party on my page. I'm going to have discounts all at the end of the month. So.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll have to put your link up and let them know what day of the month is it going to be.
I think the 29th.
Okay.
It's on my fan page.
All right, we'll have to post a link and let them know. And then Alexia, you, me, and David are all going to be at Palm Springs Comic-Con at the end of this month.
That's right.
I can't wait. I love doing the live events, and the comic conventions have just the most fun crowd. I absolutely love
that so much more than author signings. I like going to the Comic Cons.
They're fun people. I mean,
It's
hard to find a grumpy person in costume.
It is, and it's like being around thousands of your best friends.
It is
that you've never met.
It's so much fun. The people are so nice. Everybody's just willing to sit and chit chat with you. I enjoy it. The atmosphere is good. And oddly enough, book sales are pretty good at comic conventions versus even book conventions, I've noticed.
Well, I think people go to cons with the intention of seeing a whole bunch of different kinds of things because you get people from every background at cons. I love cons.
Me too.
Yeah, I think I was talking to the guy who's coordinating the Palm Springs Comic-Con, trying to get more information from him about our booth and everything. And he asked me, he's like, how do you sell books at a comic convention? And I told him, I said, the comic book people, they're open-minded. They like any variety of fantasy. It really doesn't have to be one specific thing. They are open-minded to all genres of fantasy, and they're willing to give you a chance, which is a little bit different than say a book convention where if you're not in their very specific genre or an author that they know, lots of times people just kind of walk past you and try to find the author that they came there to look for.
Well, and I'm always out in the highways, and I'm like, I love your costume. Can I get a picture? I'm fangirling on everybody else, and then they look at my stuff. So
Absolutely, I do the same thing. I'm out there, I'm taking pictures. Hell, I think the last time I did a Comic-Con, I posted 1 million pictures to Facebook.
Sometimes it's easy to get swept up and completely forget why you're there. And you're talking to somebody, and then 10 minutes into the conversation, they're like, oh, wait, what do you have on display there? And so that's when you snap back to reality and you're like, oh yeah, here, let me tell you about this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely fun. I'm so excited for the end of this month.
I've
Can't
been
wait
counting
to go.
down.
Me too.
I wish I could go. It's not even really that far. At least I'm on the side of the country. All the other ones are over on the other side.
Come to
Yeah,
Palm
it's
Springs. Come hang out with us.
I wish I got all these kids.
Bring the
Well, they're not
kids.
back there, but next year. It'll be fun though.
I need to bring my boy in his Mario costume.
Oh, that'd be
That'd be
awesome.
He lives in that costume.
Well, Paranormal Addicts is going to be starting up some new stuff starting in September. We're going to have author takeover. And so I'll be getting organized for that pretty soon.
We'll definitely keep an eye on that Facebook group. In the comments below, we're going to put down the link for our giveaway. All of our authors have something special to share with you. And if you click the link below, it'll tell you how to enter. I'd like to say a special thanks to Alexia and Jennifer. Thanks for being here with us this week. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for future episodes. And that's all we've got for you today. So we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.